Good morning, everybody on Facebook. How are you? Let me just go live on my other group. Okay. So, good morning, everyone on Facebook. Good morning, everyone in the Professional Women's Collective group. How are we all? This is Jodie Siemens from Taking Perspective. Thank you all for those who have joined me this morning. For those of you who have registered but missed the webinar, you will receive a copy of the PowerPoint in your email box, so look out for that. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jodie Siemens from Taking Perspective. I'm a lifestyle, accountability and mindset coach. I predominantly help busy women who stop running flat in circles to gain some professional and private life balance. So this is exciting. This is week 8 of 8 weeks of top tips for accountability. So what I do is 15 to 20 minute webinars every Friday at 10:30 a.m. The topics will vary. And again, this is week 8 of top tips for accountability. If you would like to check out the others, they have been uploaded onto my YouTube channel. So please go there and view the last 7 weeks. There's also various meditations and some hypnosis there too for you to check out if interested. So next week's webinar, I put a poll out in my Professional Women's Collective group, and a few of the ladies in there chose exhaustion. So next week, this time, same place, I will be doing exhaustion and ways to beat it. Okay, so again, thank you all for joining me, and we will get started with the PowerPoint presentation. So here we are. So week 8, the 6 key principles for accountability and an overview of the last 8 weeks. So what I've done is I've just sort of amalgamated some of the key points that I've talked about over the last 8 weeks and just done a quite a big overview. Accountability is a rather large subject because it goes into your personal life. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're a member of a team, an organization. And so there's all different sorts of levels of accountability. So that's why we did the 8 weeks. I hope I covered most of those things for you. If not, don't be afraid to flick me a message, comment on this, hashtag replay if you are watching it later, and flick me any questions that you might have. Well, great to hear from you. Here we've got Bob Proctor, and accountability is the glue that ties commitment to results. I am a fan of Bob Proctor and his work. Okay, so we will start. I will just move my head out of the way. There we go. So 6 key principles of accountability. So number 1, accountability is a statement of personal promise. So I see that as accountability is both a promise and an obligation that you deliver specific and defined results for. It's not just for yourself, but also those around you. Accountability applies to individuals, and they make a personal promise to get things done and deliver within an agreed amount of time. So accountability is first and foremost a personal commitment, not just to yourself, but to your team if you're a member of a team, and to your workplace, whether you work for an organization or whether you work for yourself. Number 2, we have accountability for results means activities aren't enough. So what I mean by that is that everybody in their personal and professional life has some piece of business and correspond a set of results to that for which they need to achieve. So distinguishing between the results and the activities can be quite a big shift in thinking, because results are not activities. Basically, you need to build an awareness on what we're doing and why we're doing it, and what activities you need to focus on so that you get the results that you desire. I hope that made sense. That was a hard one to really describe. Accountability for results requires room for judgment and decision making. So if you're not allowed to use your own judgment or discretion when, in your own personal life or in your job, if you're told to follow the rules no matter what, if, you're not in a position to make any decisions, and you're only held accountable for the activities, not actually the results. And that's what we were talking about before. You can't actually be held accountable for the outcome, if you know what I mean. So I'll read that again. If you're not allowed to use any judgment or discretion in your personal life or your job, if you are told to follow the rules no matter what, if you're not in a position to make the decisions yourself, they cannot actually hold you accountable for the results or the outcomes. You are only accountable for the activities, so the process. So if you don't have any autonomy, you cannot be held accountable for the results. Number 4, accountability is neither shared nor conditional. So what we mean by that is accountability agreements, whether they're individual, they're unique to you and your own personal strategies. And that doesn't matter whether it's in your personal life or your work. No two people have the same level of work or the exact same accountabilities, because everyone has different lives and everything's different. So separating each person's accountabilities can be challenging, especially in a team environment. But once you clarify them, then everyone will know exactly where they are and exactly what their journey is to obtain the results that they need. And next we have accountability as a whole belongs to everyone. So I think everyone's first accountability really is acting within the best interests of themselves, their personal lives and their work life. So everybody has a role to play in their personal accountability, and then that transpires into your work life also. Accountability is meaningless without consequence. So here in accountability agreements within the workplace and also with yourself, because if you're working for yourself, you need to have an agreement with yourself. Consequences need to be negotiated, and remembering to keep in mind that we want positive accountability. So you negotiate consequences that are personally significant to yourself, the person in question, that's essential for the accountability that's needed and fundamental for the fair deal. So hi everyone on Facebook. So I think the key step is forging an independent and mutually beneficial relationship with your employer if you do not work for yourself, but also for yourself as a business owner. You need to make an agreement with yourself, as in, it becomes a little bit tricky. You become accountable to yourself in a lot of places. So within your business, if you're working for yourself. So it's a bit hard to be accountable for anybody else, but then you might have clients that you need to be accountable for. You may have a mentor that you need to be accountable to, and you may have a family that you need to be accountable to. So it does streamline down. So here we have a meme. Love this guy. Okay, so just an overview of the last 8 weeks on accountability. Accountability is an attitude. So people who hold themselves accountable go beyond their own responsibilities, is basically what that means. And that helps ensure overall success for any project within, your own business, whether you work in a team or an entire organization, and it refers onto the whole business. So accountability is the opposite to it's not my job. This accountability, again, as I said before, it's an attitude. So it's based on the understanding that all systems and efforts are interconnected, and the success of any community of people with shared goals depends on working together for good as a whole. So that's that whole "it's not my job" syndrome. A lot of people suffer from that. It's when you're in a team environment, you can't have the "it's not my job" attitude, because everyone is responsible to each other and you need to be accountable for yourself. And if someone needs help, you need to help them, because that helps the team. Expands your ability to problem solve. It also helps you move forward in a consistent fashion towards your desired outcomes, whether that be in your personal or work life. Actions and outcomes. So what I mean by that is you find yourself within the workplace, we need to be accountable for our own actions, and in doing that, you become accountable for the outcomes of those actions. So we need to hold clear expectations and prioritize our day-to-day activities so that they align with the overall outcomes. And that's whether you work for yourself as an individual, with teams, organizations, it doesn't matter. Straight down the line, you need to be accountable for your actions and outcomes. So we did talk about this a few times over the past 8 weeks. So accountability does increase your performance and productivity, not just in your personal life, but also your professional life. So accountability increases your performance and productivity within the workplace by giving you clearly defined goals, gives you an understanding of who is responsible for what, because everyone knows what their tasks are. So all the roles that each individual has, communicating, and the need arises, getting recognition for a job well done. And that stems again to positive accountability within the workplace, because everyone needs a pat on the back when they do a job well done. So here we've got, we talked about a lack of accountability. So if there's a lack of accountability, it's usually due to unclear goals and people not understanding what their responsibilities are. It's also usually due to poor communication, and within that creates a lack of trust. It also means that potentially that there's no, going back to the goals, that there's no action plan in place, or like a to-do list of things to get done within certain timeframes. There's no transparency, which again goes back to no trust. So if you can't step back and analyze your performance, you won't be able to develop the self-discipline and the vision that you require to actually get your results. So primarily, accountability is the fundamental prerequisite in preventing an abuse of power. So this again goes back to positive accountability, and for ensuring that power is directed towards the achievement of efficiency, effectiveness, responsiveness, and transparency within a business. So here we've listed 5 strategies to fix a lack of accountability. So from a personal perspective, recognize and own your mistakes, engage in goal setting processes, make your expectations clear, make sure you have all the resources you need, and give yourself constant feedback. Again, that needs to be positive feedback as well as the negative feedback if you need to give it. So one of my favorite sayings there, are you walking the walk or just talking the talk? Okay, so here we're talking about 5 ways to demonstrate accountability. So when you say you're going to complete a task, complete it. If there's a due date, have it there ready to go on time. Being responsible to yourself and your fellow team, showing up and being prepared on time. So if you book a meeting, be there on time, don't be running late, because if you especially if you're the leader, because your team members will model your behavior, and we do talk about that a little bit later in the chat. Give regular feedback, not just to yourself, but to everyone, and track your items. So make sure you have, a calendar, a to-do list of what to do and when those things need to be accomplished. How we do anything is how we do everything. One of my favorite quotes by T. Harvey Edgar. He's the author of Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. A very good read if anyone is interested in reading a good book. Okay, so here we have 6 ways to show your accountability. So admit your wrongdoings. Take pride in your work. People who take pride in their work tend to have a little bit more of a moral standing about it. So if they do potentially end up going down the wrong track, not necessarily doing something wrong, but taking pride in your work, you're more likely to be accountable for it. Don't make excuses. Be transparent. We've talked about that again. Contribute and be upfront. So people will want to see it. They will want to see you being accountable, especially as a leader, as I said before, a specialist in your field. Your people who work for you, work around you, even if it's in your private life, your family members, they will model your behavior. So they will do as you do. And the next one, we have 5 ways to help develop personal accountability. So being accountable requires the right perspective. So you need to make sure you're in the, you've got the right mindset around who you are, your responsibilities, your roles, and understanding what they are. Know your limits, so don't overcommit yourself. If you overcommit yourself, then maybe you're in a position where you can't meet what's required on a calendar event if you overcommit yourself. So know what your limits are, and also understand if you don't have the resources you need. If you don't have the resources you need, get them. Whether that's a material object or whether it means you have to do another course. Go about doing what you need to do. Find other things or people to be accountable to. So that could be a colleague, it could be a workmate. A lot of people have accountability buddies. So that works well, especially with people who, like myself, really, who work by themselves mainly. I have a few people that, I work with, so it works really well. Implement deadlines. So know when things are due. Don't procrastinate around it. That's what the calendar's for. Put it in the calendar, divide it up into tasks and get things done by deadlines. Learn from your failures. People have a strange thing about failures, and there's really no such thing as failing anything. You need to think about the advantages that you can get from that, and that again is about putting the right perspective around things, because we are only human and we are going to get things wrong. So you really need to reframe it and think about what you can learn from it and how you can do things differently. Here we have overview continued, positive accountability, trust and accountability, and role modeling. So we're coming to the end here. So I believe it's really important to put a positive spin on accountability and really reinforce it within the workplace. It gives a chance for people to be autonomous and feel safe within their environment. I think that's really important. Knowing that mistakes are just that, as I talked about before, and they can be learned from, whilst given the skills and resources they need to work towards the goals. And I talked about that in the previous slide also. Reinforcing that positive accountability also increases an employee's happiness. It increases your happiness and engagement, because you want to show up in that environment. The positive results occur when employees view accountability programs as helpful and progressive methods of assigning and completing their work. And that again is that positive accountability. So where are we up to? Trust and accountability. So sorry, I just lost. I was saying hi everyone on Facebook. Trust and accountability also forms the basis on which a good team will flourish. Without them, it's near impossible to make real progress. So for me, I suppose I have a team around me. It would be my family, because if my family weren't able to take on things while I'm busy, say, doing this webinar, then that would be really hard for me. So, you know, it really helps. You have to give yourself, your employees and teammates a chance for success and a chance to feel really proud about what you're doing, a chance to take on responsibility. And this helps build trust in the workplace and where you are. So as a manager, or just as yourself, as a role model to your team members, as a role model to yourself, acting with integrity, having that authenticity about who you are. You know, you really need to establish these things early and have these expectations clearly communicated, because as a leader in your field or in the workplace, your team will model you. If you're going to show up late to meetings, you can't expect your team to show up early to meetings. I think, you know, people really need to understand that. They will do as you do, as I said before. So reinforcing positive accountability increases happiness and just engagement. You'll get the results that you need, and, you know, things will progress and your team will model your behaviour. And I believe that was the last slide. Oh, look at that. So accountability, engagement, awareness, acceptance, and openness, which is a few of the things that I have definitely chatted about over the last 8 weeks. Again, if you have missed the previous 7 weeks and you're here today, please don't be afraid to go over to my YouTube channel to watch the others. They're all loaded up there for you to see. This one will also be loaded up on the YouTube channel if you've just come on. And again, those who registered for the webinar, for the PowerPoint, this will be sent to your email, so check out your inbox. So again, thank you for everyone who jumped online for the webinar. Thank you for those who jumped on Facebook. Hello again. This is being posted directly to my Professional Women's Collective group. I'm just live on my timeline. You can also find me on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. So if you'd like to know more about what I do, jump on over to my Professional Women's Collective group or my Empowered Sisters group. You'll find them on Facebook. So this is the wrap for 8 weeks of top tips for accountability. Again, as I mentioned earlier, next week we're going to talk about exhaustion and ways to beat it. So these webinars go live at 10:30 a.m. every Friday. Thank you all again for joining me. Until next time, this is Jodie Siemens taking perspective. Thanks, guys.